Okay, question of the day. Can beginner painters paint skies that look this good? The answer? Absolutely, and I'm going to prove it. With just these 3 easy paintings, you can go from frustrating flat skies to soft, glowing, realistic ones, even if you're just starting out with watercolors. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Let's go ahead and pull out the supplies that we need for today's practice paintings. I'm going to be using an assortment of different brushes. Really, you can pull out whatever you have on hand or just whatever works for you. I'm going to be grabbing a few from the brushes that come within my monthly subscription box kits from Craftamo. I'm excited to say that these classes in a box just barely got restocked by Craftamo and are available again. I'll show you the boxes a little bit better in just a minute, but by the end of 12 months, you will have 24 amazing brushes that I personally designed myself. We've got all different kinds in here, including 12 different sizes of round brushes, some filbert brushes, angle brushes of different sizes. We have a couple of cat's tongue brushes as well as a dagger brush, so a really good assortment. And just for fun, I'm going to pull out a few of the boxes that come with the subscription just so you can kind of get an idea of what you'll be painting for this. Like I say, there are 12 of these, one for each month, so this will last an entire year. I have all sorts of different things that I teach you personally how to paint, including butterflies, birds, of course flowers. I've also got a couple of landscapes, and this last one is really pretty with flowers in a teacup, so all sorts of different things. I'm just going to open up one of these boxes so you can see what's included with every box. Maybe I'll open this one. Now, of course, the box cover has the painting that you'll be doing, and all of the supplies needed are included. Craftamo packages these in a really nice way with the paper and wrappings to even match the color scheme that we've got going on. Inside each box comes with a card with the painting on the front that you can use as a reference, and then on the back of the card has the information on where you can get the exclusive tutorial to go with the painting. Then each box comes with the supplies and everything that you need to be able to paint the image on the front of the cover and card. So like I said before, each box will have 2 brushes. There are no duplicates. It also comes with 4 half pan paint colors, which also don't have any duplicates. What's really fun about this is because we have such a limited color palette with each box, we get to do a lot of fun color mixing. So I think you'll really enjoy that. Then we also have the outline drawing that you can use to trace or transfer onto your watercolor paper, so you can just jump right to the fun of painting. It does come with some transparent tracing paper as well, and each box includes 4 sheets of 100% cotton watercolor paper. The watercolor paper size, as well as the outline and the cards, are all in an A5 size, which is approximately 5.8 inches by 8.3 inches. Anyway, these are a lot of fun, so if you're interested at all at looking into these, I will leave a link in the description of this video that you can click on and check out the pricing and different sales that are going on right now. These usually sell for about $50 a month, but right now you can get a discount if you pay for the full year up front. If I'm calculating it right, with the discount, that comes to about only $37 a month, so that's a pretty good deal. There are shipping charges every month in addition to the boxes though. Even if you pay for the entire 12 months up front, there is still a shipping fee each month as your box gets shipped out. So just don't let that catch you off guard. These are a ton of fun, and I want as many people to take advantage of them as possible, but I only want you to do this if it makes financial sense for you. You, of course, need to take care of you and your needs first before doing something like this. Okay, enough of that. I probably shouldn't do this, but there's one other fun thing I just wanted to share. These boxes came in separate cardboard boxes as they're shipped, just to help protect that inner box from getting damaged. And when mine arrived a little while back, I let my 7-year-old daughter play with the outer cardboard boxes. The creativity of children never ceases to amaze me. I just have to show you what she created out of those outer Craftamo shipping boxes. She's only 7, so her spelling isn't perfect yet, but on the front she wrote Caesars. So this is supposed to be a little Caesars pizza that she's created here. This box contains pizza and breadsticks, so let me open this up and show you what she's made here. She's cut out and colored a pepperoni pizza and a couple of breadsticks, and then she's been taking them around the house and selling them to our family. It's been so cute. Here's another one. This one she calls the crazy one. This is a supreme pizza that has all of the toppings on it, which my husband and I like. She thinks it's crazy apparently, so she made this one with pepperoni, green things, mushrooms on it, So cute. She had 2 other boxes that she also made some different pizza types with. But anyway, so cute of her to do this. I thought it would be fun to share it. Anyway, even the outer boxes of these are fun to use apparently. All right, that was way more information than you ever wanted to hear, but let's go ahead and move on to our practice sky paintings. I'm just pulling out my watercolor paints, some clean water, a paper towel, and then for the brushes that I've picked out today from the 24 that come in the subscriptions, like I say, you can use whatever brushes you have on hand. These are just ones I'm going to be using. I've got a number 8 round, a 1/2 inch angle brush, a number 1 round, a number 4 round, and a 3/8 filbert brush. So a good variety of different brush types here. Then of course we need some watercolor paper. I've divided this into 3 equal sections so that I can try 3 different sky practice pieces on one page. All of the paintings that we're going to be doing today can be done totally free-handed if that's your style. If you do like a little bit of a guide, I do have a couple of pencil marks here, nothing too intense though. The first one just has a straight horizontal line for the horizon line. The middle one has a jagged mountain peak with a circle for the moon, and the last one I did a little bit higher with a straight horizon line going all the way across the page, and then a wavy line above that for a background hillside. This seems to be a good height at the time, but after I got to painting, I felt like it might be a little too high. So you can adjust that or move it farther down and give more space for your sky if you want to. Okay, I'll just go ahead and tape my paper down with some artist tape. I'm first going to actually take some of this and tape a border around the very edge of the page, as well as 2 tape lines in the center areas to separate my paper into those 3 sections. I'll also use some extra tape around that border just to make sure it sticks to my table good, since my tape isn't super wide. I'm also going to apologize up front. I think this video has a lot of talking in it today. If you don't like that, this may not be the video for you. I've done the best I can, but you'll have to just bear with me. All right, good enough. Let's go ahead and get some colors ready on our tray to paint in the first little section. I think I'd like to show you how to do a really fun, almost cotton candy sunset sky on this one. I'm going to pull out some ultramarine blue, and it might not be quite dark enough, so I might also use some ultramarine blue and add a tiny bit of Payne's gray into it just to make a slightly darker version. With sunset skies, you kind of want to work your way from dark values to light values. Another thing that I think will help, especially with beginners, to not create muddy sunsets is to have some colors in between the transitions of any blues or yellows or oranges. For example, I'm going to pull out some Dioxozine purple as well as some Alizarin crimson that can sort of be a buffer or a blender between the blue and the orange and yellows that I'll be using. So here I will pull out some Cadmium orange and then move on to some Gamboge. And for the lightest hue, I'll use some Azo yellow at the very bottom, closest to where the sun is setting. So basically we have a good rainbow assortment of colors here that can blend together really nicely. I love using the wet on wet technique to help my colors blend and spread when I paint some skies. It also helps them be really soft looking. So I'm going to take some water and using the larger 1/2 inch angle brush, I'll spread some of that water across the entire first section of the paper, even moving past that penciled in horizon line. Now you don't necessarily need to use an angle brush, just any kind of larger brush that can get the water on here quickly and spread it out smoothly. Then after we have the water on here, we can start dropping in the colors. And like I said, we're going to move sort of from the darker colors down to the lighter colors. So let's start with that dark blue-gray mixture and place that right at the very top of the page. And actually, I might switch over to the larger round brush now so I can get some nice cloud-like strokes in there. Now, after I've got the blue-gray color, I'm going to use some of the pure ultramarine blue and start blending that into the mix. Then afterwards, I'll move on to the purple and the alizarin crimson and start blending those in with the blue. And you'll notice I'm not painting these in perfectly smooth. I'm leaving some texture or cloud-like features in here just to help make these skies quick and easy. And we really don't need a lot of these colors in here. This is just really going to help serve as a buffer between the blue and the yellows and oranges. If you know much much about color mixing, then you know that whenever you mix complementary colors together, such as blue and orange, then you're going to get a shade of brown. And when it comes to painting skies, you really don't want to have a brown sky. So having these colors in between the blue and orange really helps keep our sky looking colorful and not messy. And when you're ready, you can start adding and blending in the oranges and yellows all the way past the horizon line. Now let's take some of the cadmium orange and maybe even some alizarin crimson and paint some of these colors down underneath the horizon line for a little bit of reflection in a lake that we're going to add into this painting just for fun. Now, you can leave the sky just as it is. There's nothing wrong with how it is, but I do feel like I want to be a little bit more dramatic with some of these areas. So maybe I'll add in some darker sections of some of these colors while my paint is still wet so that it will still blend in. If your paper has started to dry, then I recommend just not messing with it. Leave it how it is. Since mine's wet, I'm going to go ahead and add in some extra color, maybe some alizarin crimson or some touches of blue or orange. These can just represent maybe some distant clouds. All right, now there is one more thing that I want to add in here before the paint completely dries. Let's try adding in a fun, loose reflection around this horizon line. We're mostly just focusing on the skies for these paintings, but why not add a little something extra to finish them off? So I'm going to take a little bit of ultramarine blue and dioxazine purple, then using this filbert brush, I'm going to take some of that paint and just dab sections of color in here along this horizon line. You can see that because my paint is still wet, it's causing this new paint to naturally spread and blend into that background area, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. If, however, your painting is a little bit too dry and it's not creating this effect, don't worry, we can still add in a fun background. So give this just a second and I'll show you what we can do. My goal here is to try to create some fuzzy, distant looking trees, and then under the horizon line also create a reflection of those trees in the water. I really like how these have just spread out on their own. I might even help them along just a little bit by turning my filbert brush onto the skinny side of the bristles and then pulling a tiny bit of the paint upward to create some points on the trees, maybe like they're pine trees. So here my painting is completely dry now, so I think I'll pull out the number 4 round brush and use some dark blue-violet paint color that's already on our tray and use some of that to paint in where the horizon line sits. Now, because I already have the blurry trees here in the background, I don't want to cover up these completely, so I'm going to take a touch of this color and gently sketch and paint in some pine tree shapes of different sizes and heights to finish off the look of this. These really aren't too hard to do. I like to start with maybe the trunk of the tree first and then add in some side-to-side motions, getting a little bit wider as I move downward to create the shape of a pine tree. If your painting was too dry to get those blurry trees in the background, you can still add these in to kind of finish this space off. I hope you're enjoying the tutorial today. I think that you're really going to have a lot of fun trying out these 3 different types of skies. These are all very beginner friendly, nothing too crazy or hard. If you find you are enjoying my painting and teaching style today, I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any of my new and upcoming weekly tutorials. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the middle painting and give a quiet nighttime sky a try next. For the colors on this one, we'll want some nice dark colors. So I'll freshen up this dark blue-gray color here, and then I'll also pull out some ivory black as well. Now I'll rinse off my large angle brush just a little bit and then use some water to wet down this area. I'm going to paint water around the moon, but I will paint a water layer on everything else. My brush does still have a little bit of paint in here, but that's okay. We will be putting in a darker color over the top of this. All right, now in a similar way as we did with the first sky, we'll work our way from dark values to light. So I'll start spreading in some of the ivory black at the top first, and actually I think I'll switch over to my number 8 round again. Now since this is a night sky, we really want it to be nice and dark. So I'm going to make sure there's a lot of pigment in here, especially at the top. And when you're ready, then go ahead and start dropping in some of the blue-gray color and blend that into the black. I may even take some pure ultramarine blue and add that in here as well. I'm just going to mix and spread until I get a nice blend of colors. Again, I'm not trying to make this perfect and smooth. I'm purposefully creating almost slight cloud shapes in here. And as I get closer to the bottom of the page, I'll start adding in a little bit more water to lighten that value just a little bit. And make sure to paint around the moon. Then lastly, I'll come back in here after all of the space is full of color and maybe add in a few darker cloud shapes to make this look sort of mystical. If you feel like you would enjoy watching or even just listening to real nature sounds while you sit and paint or while you sit and meditate, you'll have to check out my nature channel sometime. I'll actually have a new one coming out later tonight of some footage I took when I went to the Carlsbad Caverns. It's so amazing to see and feel. It was quiet and dark and beautiful. What a wonder. I also have a brand new piano composition that I put with that nature video as well. I'll put a link for that in the description of this video so you can check it out if you want to. All right, that turned out really nice. I like the little extra clouds that we added in at the end there. Now I do want all of this to dry completely before moving on, but once as it is, we're going to add in some fun details to this one as well. First up, I want to show you how easy it is to add stars into our night sky here. I'm going to pull out some opaque white watercolor paint, or you could even use gouache or water down some acrylic paint, whatever you have on hand. I'll put a little bit of this on my palette here and water it down just a little bit so it's a little bit more fluid. Then I'll take some scrap paper and cover around my night sky. I'll load up my number 8 round with the white opaque paint and then just tap it against another brush to splatter that paint onto the page. You can do this as many or as few times as you want, whatever you feel like looks good. Okay, great. Moving on, let's go ahead and paint in the moon really quickly. I'll pull out that number 4 round brush and paint in our white circle here with some water first. Then I'll take just a very small amount of some blue or black paint and just dab in a few spots of color on our moon that can look like craters. Nothing too crazy here. We don't need to cover the entire space, just a few spots that can blend into that water. All right, next up, let's paint in the mountain down below. I'll use some of that blue-gray paint color and the number 8 round and just fill this mountain space with this color all the way to the bottom of the page. I may lighten it up just a little bit as I get closer to the bottom just to add some variety. Now, while we let that dry, I did have an idea. I think I'm going to pull out my number 1 round brush really quick and just take a touch of black paint and add a few tiny little bird silhouettes into the sky of our sunset piece. This just might be a fun addition. Okay, when our mountain silhouette is dry, we can come back in here with some black paint, maybe a number 4 round brush, and paint in some dark pine tree silhouettes. These are basically just like what we did on the first piece, except these are going to be a little bit larger, but I still want to have some variations in heights so they don't all look exactly the same. What's really fun about this idea is that you could totally change the colors on this one and make it more of a sunset sky like we practiced on the first piece, and instead of a moon, we can paint the sun. So that might be fun to try sometime as well. All right, good enough. Let's go ahead and move on to the third sky practice piece here. We'll start this off again in the same way, taking some water with a large brush and painting in the sky area. I'll even paint water over the hill, but I'll stop at the horizon line this time. Now let's try painting in a pretty blue sky with maybe some white or light cloud shapes. I'm going to actually try using the filbert brush this time. Sometimes the filbert can work really great with sky areas because of the rounded edge that it provides. So that makes some fluffy rounded cloud shapes. This is one of the most easy skies to do because we're just using one color. The good news is that we're going to be painting it in a very similar way as we did with the other two, starting at the top with some darker values, moving downward and getting lighter as we go. The difference with this one is that I'm going to be purposefully leaving spaces on the page empty or white to represent the clouds in the distance. You can make these large and fluffy, or they can be very minimalistic, whatever you want to try. Another trick you can try when creating white fluffy clouds is to simply take a paper towel and sort of bunch it up into a ball and use the paper towel to dab off some of the blue color. And this is a really easy way to either soften or reshape the clouds or create clouds in different ways. All right, that was pretty easy and it didn't take a lot of time to do. After the sky area is completely dry, then we can move on to the bottom half of the painting. Again, I feel like I may have done my horizon line a little bit too high, but I'm just going to go with it. You'll get the idea. First, I'll start off with a small round brush and take some slightly darker blue paint and just paint in that distant hillside. Then when that hillside is completely dry, we can paint in the field area next. I think I'll try for some golden colors for this one today. Maybe I'll pull out some raw sienna and some gamboge for this, and then using the number 8 round, I'll put on some water first, and then start dropping in some of the color, maybe using the gamboge a little bit higher and moving down to the raw sienna at the bottom. Very good, we're almost done. After our golden field area is completely dry, there's one finishing touch I'd like to add to this piece just for some fun. Why don't we try adding in some loose, distant background poppies to go out in the field? I'm going to pull out some cadmium red and mix it with some of the cadmium orange that's already on my tray to create a nice red-orange color. Then using the number 1 round, I'll take some paint and start adding in dots of color into the field. I'll have them smaller in the distance distance, and then gradually paint them a little bit larger as they get closer to the bottom of the page, just to help create some form of depth. I didn't fill the entire space, I just kind of wanted to give a hint of this idea, but you could definitely go clear to the bottom of the page with this if you wanted to. It might be fun to take some raw sienna and maybe even paint in some thin grass lines at the very bottom of the page. And then just to finish off the look of the poppies, I'll take a little bit of burnt umber paint and add in some center dots on a few of these. You don't need to do all of them. A few should be good enough just to give that idea. And that, my friends, is actually it for our 3 fun, simple and easy sky practice pieces today. Now, actually, here comes my favorite part, and that is taking off the tape to see the final reveal of all 3 practice pieces. There's definitely a lot of possibilities that you can use with these ideas. You can mix and match some of them. You could create bookmarks. You can make them cards. You could paint them bigger for larger paintings to display or give away. Lots of possibilities here. They're each really pretty easy and they don't take a lot of time to do. I'm glad you joined me today. I hope you had some fun painting these. If you did find you enjoyed this tutorial, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel so I can continue to help you discover your artistic side.